And we are
Yes,
back.
sir. Yes, sir.
Listen, welcome,
Episode
welcome.
17.
It's the Free Gens Podcast. It's episode 17. I got Cinco to my right, and I have an illustrious guest here.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? A
very.
legend in the building. We have Tommy Wright, New Jersey's very own, Englewood, New Jersey's very own, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
All right, so Tommy's actually family with Kamal, you know what I'm saying? So I really want to let Kamal take the lead on this episode because we got a lot to dive in. He's an accomplished actor, you know what I mean? Came through, like I said, New Jersey. So we're here to talk about the story, and we're here to talk about, you know, just the growth and development. How did you get to where you are today?
Right.
So introduce yourself, tell people where you're from.
My name's Tom Wright. I'd like to thank you for having me. You know,
the pleasure's all ours.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all ours.
You know, you got up to the line of scrimmage and yelled out Omaha, and here I am.
That's how it literally was. For real, we call it plays.
Absolutely, it was inaudible, but thank you for coming, seriously.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure to chop it up with you both.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's an honor for us to have you here because growing up, Kamal used to always tell me about his uncle. He got a famous uncle. He's like, my uncle's an actor, and I'm like, where? And then it just so happened, I remember when you were in barbershop, and I was like, what? That's your uncle? I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah,
and then I actually ended up running into you. I was just telling you this before the podcast. I ran into you one time when I was a kid. I might have been like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And it was like seeing a ghost because it was like, all right, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Real quick. And then Kamal was like, yeah, that was my Uncle Tommy. I'm like, what? I'm like, just like that? I'm like, it's crazy.
It's funny how you say that. My mother actually told me that the first time I ever met him when I was young. You probably remember this story.
All right, go ahead.
You were in Startrek.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And you had some type of makeup on.
Right.
And I might have been like 3 or 4 years old at the time. And my mother was like, Uncle Tommy's coming. And I was scared.
Oh, because
of Star Trek.
I was going to show
And I was
up.
scared, and I was scared, and I don't know if you remember this, but you took your hand and rubbed it across your face. My hand and rubbed it across your face, like, okay, I'm like one of you.
Oh, that's
and ever since
crazy.
then,
No, I don't remember that.
yeah, I know you don't remember that, but my mother told me. So.
We got to drop a bomb one time for Star Trek. That was crazy. That was just the crazy name drop. You just dropped. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Star Trek is dope. That's a legendary show.
I did an episode. It's a pretty famous episode, actually,
Right.
of Star Trek Voyager. I played Tuvix. There was a transporter accident in which 2 of the characters get combined into one. I played that character.
Oh, that's the combined character?
Yeah, I played. His name was Tuvix, and the moral dilemma of the episode was is it proper to split that human individual back into two,
And the 2 people and leave them
and
at.
kill the entity that's the singular, or
Wow.
is it justifiable to sort of want those 2 individuals back?
Wow.
Wow.
I feel like there's always like a moral, like
A bigger picture to
There's a bigger
everything.
picture to almost all these shows, even down to the kids shows when I watch and all these movies and stuff. But I want to start from the beginning.
All right,
So like I
let's
said,
do
you're from
that.
Englewood,
Yes,
New Jersey.
yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the people. Like, okay, so did you go to college for acting? How did you get into acting in the first place?
Well, let's begin at the beginning. For me, I was a high school athlete. I played football and ran track at Englewood.
Oh, wow.
Englewood. Shout out
to Dwight
Englewood.
Morrow.
What year? What year did you graduate?
Why you say he got messy early?
Now you're gonna get personal.
But we were just talking about this actually before the show started.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, right.
But I graduated in '70. But
Wow.
then I went to a D2 school, Westchester, in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly. To play ball, run track.
Nice.
And I wound up getting kicked out of school.
Wow. Out of college?
Yeah, because I refused to stand for the national anthem during the basketball game.
Whoa.
You never even told me that.
50 years
Wow.
later.
No,
Look at
that-
where we are. That's
You never told me. Wow.
What happened was the Vietnam War was on,
yes.
and it was my singular sort of way to protest the war.
Wow.
And so I didn't stand up during this basketball game. This quiet auditorium, the band's playing, they're singing the song. The offensive line coach stood up, walked across the court, pushed band members out of the way, climbed up over people and grabbed me, snatched me by my collar and tried to drag me to my feet.
What?
What?
And I went limp. you know, and I was like, and so the president of the school basically said, you know, you're done. And I was like, you goddamn right I am.
So you were a player on the team? You would say, so you got kicked out of school and the team. They said, forget all this.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, so I knocked around for like 2 years, and this is one of the things that I really want to try to get across to people. Is that oftentimes you have people that you see on TV, you see in films, you see in movies, you hear on the radio, and all the people can think about is how sweet their life is, and how they must have they don't consider or understand that there are many paths to the same place.
Yeah, that's a big gem right there.
And it's really important for you to follow your own path. Mine. I did not go to college for acting. Right? I had dropped out. I was a bum.
We go through those stages as a young man.
I was a bum. And proud of it.
That's the worst of it. That's the worst of it. Because it's easy to be lazy. It's real easy to be a bum.
Yeah, but it is easy to be a bum, but I was wearing that as a badge.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I went off the rails for about 2 years just trying to figure out who I am and what I really want to do. And how do I fit into the society? What are my dreams? What are my aspirations? What am I good at? And this friend of mine pulled me aside once, and in this bar, like late at night, and he said, "You don't know it, but you're an actor."
Whoa! How did he see that in you?
And I said, "Man, get the hell out." He said, "No. I'm telling you, you're an actor, and I'm going to prove it to you." I said, "All right. How you going to do that?"
Yeah.
He said, "I'm going to put you in a play because I'm director, and you're going to find out." So, sure enough, I walked on stage opening night. I opened my mouth and the heavens parted. And divine light shone down, and that bum badge went out the door.
Yeah, and you had a drive born that moment.
And from there, I never turned around and did anything different.
Wow,
you couldn't even write that in. You couldn't even write that strip.
Wow. But there was so I became completely dedicated and to the path of becoming the best actor I could.
Wow.
So I joined a theater company, People's Light and Theater Company. I was one of the original company members outside of Philadelphia. I did 15 plays in 2 years without ever taking an acting lesson.
Whoa.
15 plays in 2 years.
And what kind of plays were these? Because I'm thinking like this is still the 70s.
Wow.
This is right around college. You said you graduated 70s, so this had to be around what time? Like
mid-70s?
This was 74 for 74 to 76.
Wow.
We did Eugene O'Neill. We did Arthur Miller. We did Noel Coward. We did Marat Saad. We did Robert Coover. We did Ed Bullins. We did all these different plays and playwrights, and so I had this wealth of experience, but I had no technical or theoretical understanding.
Right, this is all organic, just skill. You're just winging it.
Let me tell you, these people would go home at night, and on like a Tuesday, we'd finish rehearsal. They'd come in Wednesday, and their performances would be like here, and all I could do is take the script home and put it on my bed and look at it.
I see.
None of the formal training, just very
I just would shift it. Maybe I have to look at it like this. Maybe I should turn it upside down.
You got to try to figure out like how do people get that?
How are these people doing this? Right. You know, and so I moved to New York in 1976. I had $150 in my pocket, and I didn't know anybody.
Oh, wow.
And I just started at the bottom, you know, looking for the proper academic sort of situation that could enhance the practical experience I already had.
Yeah. Because you could tell other actors were like head and shoulders above you at the time, and you just knew you just needed that training. You just needed that custom model to Tyson's anger. Like you just needed something that guide you
raw
and know how to like fine tune that skill.
It was all about going with my gut, which turns out to be, you know, a really legit way to sort of get something done. Right. You know, because sometimes you can enter a certain structure of a career and think that, you know, that the academic approach is going to take you to the promised land,
right? And
then you forget about your gut.
That's also a big gem right there. Wow.
You don't listen to that gut, and that gut is telling you something. That first of all, your gut should be telling you whether or not you should be doing this at all.
Yeah, that's number one. You gotta listen to yourself.
And then your gut is going to tell you, and they're going to tell you how to do it, but it's going to tell you whether or not you should.
Yeah, whether that feels right or not.
Yes.
And once you find that connection, once you find that spark, it is all on you, the individual, to make something happen.
Yeah.
So for me, I moved to New York. I went to a couple of different studios because I really wasn't digging the kind of intellectual information I was gathering. That it just didn't fit with this organic thing that I had created.
Yeah.
And then I got pulled into soaps. I started doing soap operas. I was on All My Children for 2 years.
Whoa, wow, that's the classic show.
That is a classic soap too.
I was the only black villain in daytime TV.
You know what's crazy? I was just about to talk about. All right, now we got to put us back, circa 1970 something. The racial barriers and the boundaries are still high. I mean, it's still up today. So imagine 40, 50 years ago. I can imagine the kind of like things you were going through, the kind of scrutiny and the little racist things like you would catch from all different places,
Well, it's just that structurally, I have to put this delicately.
Of course,
of course, you don't want to offend nobody, but you got to just
with tact.
Yes, with tact and more. But there always are going to be physical obstacles.
Right.
Am I too tall? Am I not tall enough? Am I too dark skinned?
Right.
Am I too light skinned? And it that can come from any number of angles. And in the 70s and the early 80s, there were just not that many opportunities.
Right.
And sometimes, these are the bumps along the road that you have to navigate in order to get to where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest bumps for me, to be honest with you, almost knocked me out of the box, and it almost made me toss up that white flag. There was a TV movie, and I'll tell the story. I drop the names. I don't care.
Yeah.
But sometimes the real lethal bombs, the lethal weapons, come from your own.
Yeah.
Wow. That's deep. That is very true.
It's just I'm just calling it like it is.
No, for sure.
There was a TV movie called The Women of Brewster Place. It was a Gloria Naylor novel that Oprah Winfrey was doing. It was like her first TV production.
Wow.
And she was in it, and I was up for the role of her son. So I go in and I audition, and I get called back, and then I'm going to the final call, and all the dignitaries, all CBS, they're all in this room.
I just got to ask Oprah.
She wasn't.
That's crucial.
So I finished the audition, and I walk out the door. And the casting director, Reuben Cannon, comes rushing out the door, and he's like, "Oh man," he says, "that was great." He says, "Stay by your phone, stick by it." And I needed a break, brother.
Yeah, we all looking for that break. I know what you mean.
You did, yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, stick by your phone. You're gonna get a call. Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
Give you all the
job."
promises in the world.
So I was like, so I had a great ass weekend.
Yeah. You celebrated. You're like, "Oh, I got this. I got the soul."
There was no problem. I was like, so Monday came around, and I sat up and I put my phone in front of me and I waited, and it didn't ring.
Oh,
so then Tuesday came and I got up, I had breakfast, and then I put my phone in front of me and I waited, and the call didn't come.
Damn.
Wednesday I got the phone, I set it there, I kind of looked at it.
You're like, this ain't
So by Thursday I knew that I knew I hadn't gotten it.
Damn.
So I called my agent and I said, could you find out what happened? So he called me back about an hour later. He says, "Well, Tom," he says, "you didn't have enough red tones in your skin."
Wow.
So I said, "Are you telling me that I was just up for an all-black movie and I'm the wrong color?"
Whoa.
And he said, "Well, yeah."
Wow.
And
littlest thing.
That kind of thing, you can take it really personally, or you can chalk it up to a systemic issue.
Right.
and it's your choice about how to react to it.
That's true.
It's your choice about whether or not you want to eat that or whether or not you want to spit it out. And for me,
definitely a gem.
For me, it was all about, not allowing the system, the structure, even individuals to dissuade me from the path that I had chosen for myself back when I first started.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so you
deep.
decided I'm not chewing this up. I'm spitting this out. I got to move forward. You can't
this
let
is
that
just a
stop
stepping
you.
stone right here.
And because I'll tell you something. A lot of people want to know what show business is like.
Yeah.
A lot of everyone outside looking in.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what is it. Well, I got a couple things.
Go get some truths.
The industry, in a large part, is constantly looking you in the eye, getting real close to you and whispering, "Are you in the game?" And you're like, "What? No." Are you in the game? Are you in the game? And how I illustrate this is, D-Ray, the comic. I think I told you.
Of course, he's one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
D-Ray Davis?
Yeah, D-Ray's
D-Ray
really
Davis.
cool.
Yeah.
And D-Ray, I did barbershop with D-Ray. That's the first time I met him.
Yeah.
And he told me a story that illustrates some of the structural restraints and constructions that this industry has. He got a show, a Disney Family Channel TV show about life on a farm. And he said, "Okay, I'm from Chicago. I'm from the inner city, but I'll do it. I got no problem." He says, "Just one thing, though. One thing, please. I got thrown and kicked by a horse when I was a kid, and I can't get on a horse." They looked at him square in the eye and they said, "D-Ray, we understand.
You getting on that horse?
We'll take care of it. Don't you worry." So about the fourth or fifth script came in across D-Ray's desk. He picks it up, and there he is sitting on the back of a horse. And he was like, he called his people. He says, "Now, didn't we talk about this? I'm begging you, please. I can't get on the back of a horse." They said, "D-Ray, we understand. Don't worry. We'll take care of it." So it goes through the script revisions. It goes through the pink script revisions, the blue, the green, the goldenrod, the yellow, the double whites. It goes all the way down to the exact moment that the shot is set up. The horse is saddled. The lights and the cameras are focused on this horse. And D-Ray's sitting in his trailer, and they said, "D-Ray, it's time." And he said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." So about 15 minutes later, he hears a car pull up, outside of his trailer. And then he hears two doors slamming, a soft knock on his trailer door. And he says, "Come in." And the two Disney executives who are running the show, part of the network, came in and sat down. And they said, "So, D-Ray, you going to get on the horse?" And D-Ray said, No, I've been telling everybody for months that, I'm scared to death of him. And she said, "Well, we understand, but are you going to get on the horse?" and D-Ray said, "No." And the other woman who hadn't said anything turned and looked at me and said, "Are you sure?" And D-Ray saw the look in her eye and he went, "Yeah, I'll get on that horse."
I'll get on that horse.
I'll get on that horse. I got it, no problem. Yeah. And so they said, thank you, D-Ray.
That's scary.
They left. They jumped in their car and they drove back to Disney. And that is part of what this system asks you is, are you in the game?
Are you willing to bend? Are you going to go against your moral compass? Are you going to go against what you stand for? Like, even in the slightest way. Like, it's just, you scared of a horse, but they're like, "Listen, you're going to mess up this whole show if you don't get on this horse, and we didn't spend too much money. You're going to get on this horse."
and the thing is that, people have to really understand that, and it's a personal choice. People have to understand that it's not your game.
Yeah.
It's not, and one of the things I really want to get across to some people, whoever is like watching or listening, and they're thinking about getting involved in show business, is it is not your game. If you get a shot if they give you a shot and they open up the door that they have closed to so many others, be very careful of the decisions you make, because every decision you make is a business decision.
Wow.
Where you go, who you hang out with, where you go to breakfast, where you go to lunch, what gym you're at, what people you date.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's all a business decision. And, you know, we all have particular lines to draw in the sand, saying, you know, you can't cross here because this is my personal space.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes people think that they are bigger than they are. Like Danny Aiello used to have a saying, this guy thinks who he is.
Yeah.
He thinks who he is. I like that.
You know, this guy thinks who he is because, you know, and my point is to not get cute with it.
Yeah.
If you get a shot, have a bag of tricks, a body of work that you are willing to sacrifice, to put out there, to make your dream come true. But don't think that they owe you anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't owe you a damn thing.
Right.
Are you in the game?
Yeah, they hold the keys.
Are you in the
game?
That's deep. The way you narrated that, I feel like I was in the show too. I was locked in like I was in a TV show.
I feel like they were asking me the question.
I felt like
getting
he
nervous
telling
over
me the
here.
story himself. No, for real, man.
But that's what you have to consider. You know, this is his shot, and you know they're holding all the cards. You know, will he be blackballed in the future for anything that he wants to do in the future? Oh, he's difficult to work with. But do they know the reason why he's difficult to work with? They're not gonna.
Nobody looks into the whys.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm telling you, all they want to know. Are you in?
Are you in the game?
Are you getting on that horse? Listen, are you willing to play ball? I definitely could see that because I know so many of my favorite like comedians specifically, like they go on a hiatus because I feel like they weren't willing to play ball. They weren't trying to get in the game. Like Dave Chappelle.
I was just thinking about that.
He has a hell of a breakdown. One of his specials. I forgot which one it was. I think it was Bird's Revelations or something, where he breaks down the story. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Iceberg Slim. He's a pimp from like Chicago, from the 40s or something. And he had wrote a book, and the way he explained the way that Dave Chappelle pretty much broke down the way the industry had played him. It was the exact same way Iceberg Slim had convinced one of his bottom women to play the game for a lot longer.
Yeah.
And when he did the comparison and broke it down, that's all I was thinking about was just wow, like it's a game, like you said.
Yeah.
They hold the keys and they don't owe you nothing.
No, they don't owe you
and they know
anything.
how to manipulate this thing, so you really don't got a choice. It's like
And the only real power you absolutely have is your ability to say no.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's when you go on a hiatus and people tell you start smoking crack and they start making up these crazy rumors. And Cat Williams is getting locked up 12 times in a year. It's like they try to post you and make you this villain now because he didn't want to play ball.
I know people that have, and the reason I say all this is because I've seen some very clear examples of individuals. I'm not going to name any names, but who I knew were going to blow up.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
So I called them up and I'd say, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Don't get cute. Just you can't say no too many times before they just stop calling you.
Yeah. I feel like Chris Tucker went through that. Like a lot of those, like I said, some of my favorite stand-ups, they just had to disappear.
Because they said no too many times, and the structure just says you only get a certain number of tickets to punch, and after you run out of tickets, they're like,
they're saying, "Listen, you're replaceable. We're gonna find another one of you in a couple years."
They're like saying, "Look, you see that other guy who's sitting on the bench? He's gonna play in the game."
Yeah.
He's hungry.
Once Jamie Foxx stopped playing, here's Marlon Lawrence. Once Marlon Lawrence stopped playing, here's Dave. Dave stopped playing, here's Cat. Cat stopped playing D-Ray. They keep Kevin Hart's at the top of it right now.
So what happens to the individual is that you have to then really figure out your own particular rubric for in terms of your internal psychological composition. How much is this about you and how much is this not about you?
Yeah.
Where are the lines that you are going to draw in the sand in which there's an infringement upon your dignity? And are those lines sometimes just artificial or things that you think you should be doing, or are they really lines that are drawn for you personally?
Yeah.
So it's about a discovery of self at the same time.
That's really deep.
You have to be able to ascertain, who you really are and what you're really willing to tolerate, and not be swayed by any popular notion of everybody else is
exactly. Are these people's morals, or do I truly feel this way?
Because a lot of your boys will get you jacked up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you're listening to my boys are saying that I should.
Right.
Are they in the game? No.
I know exactly what you mean, though, for sure.
Wow.
I've seen that. So what drove you to not only want to be a great actor, but you said you wanted to be the greatest actor you could possibly be? Is it because you wanted to leave a legacy? You just wanted to be part of, like, some of the biggest... Like, what was the ultimate goal when you got into it? When you were like, I just want to do this? Or did you want to be famous? Or did you want to be rich?
And those are the last two things I ever really wanted.
I figured.
I could care less about being famous or rich, I mean, for me, what I always really wanted was the affirmation of my peers.
Yes, the respect of your peers. Wow,
that if you get the respect of your peers, especially people who have been in the game longer, people who are brilliant, really brilliant at what they do. Right. When they turned in, Morgan Freeman came to me once. I did a movie called Sunshine State. I played an ex-Heisman Trophy hopeful who tore up his knee. I was Angela Bassett's boyfriend.
These names.
Wow.
We done named dope already too.
So I was in the at the screening at the premiere. Morgan broke off from where he was having a conversation with other people, and he came over to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "Nice job, really nice work."
That right there.
Wow.
Done.
That's yes.
Like,
done.
Lean on me. Like, that's Morgan Freeman. Everything. Wow.
And you kind of said it in his voice too, which is kind of cool. in the voice of God. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's all I hear too. I still think of his God just because that one movie had
Wow.
So for me, it was all about the respect and the admiration of peers. There's so many reasons people have, and I'm not going to debase anybody's. If you want to be famous and you think being an actor is going to help you be famous, and that's your really prime directive, then
by all means, let that be your motivation.
Have at it. I mean, if you want to be rich, if you think that's your prime motivation is the money. Have at it, because there are plenty of people who have wanted to be famous and have become. There are plenty of people who have wanted to be rich and have become.
Yeah.
I was never neither. I wanted to be a working actor. I wanted always to be able to have a job.
Yeah. Wow.
See, everybody's the clock is ticking differently. Everybody's mind is on a different pace. Most people are trying to be the greatest or the biggest.
Yes.
Like I talk to a lot of artists, like people that make music, and I always ask somebody when they tell me that they rap, I'm like, do you want to be the greatest rapper, or do you just want to rap to get your little time in and then disappear? And they almost all just kind of just want to, like, they almost all just say they want to be the greatest, and I'm like, okay, but are you really working on that? Like, are you really working on that, or do you just want to have like longevity? There's so many of these artists that they always have work, like the Lox, Jadakiss. They're gonna be performing to their 70s the same way Red Hot Chili Peppers is gonna be performing to their, like they're gonna be performing forever, just because they've built that fan base and they had that longevity and that consistency that the fans are gonna forever grow with them, forever follow them, support them, and they're always gonna have relevance in to at least their core fan base for sure, forever. People tie into those.
It's just like what you said kind of reminded me of a professional athlete. Sometimes professional athletes, I want to be famous. I want the money. Okay, well, once you're in the league, guess what? Your work just started. Unless you're okay with just being in the league. Right? Yeah, if you're okay with just being in the league. Do you care what the media says about you? Or are you in it for the respect of your peers? The people who are on the same level of you, do you have their respect? So once you said it like that, it kind of remind me of the different types of professional athletes
Yeah.
and their different goals. I want to be famous. I want to be rich. I want the respect of my peers. I want
to
the
be considered
media.
a Hall of Famer.
I want to be look good in the eyes of the media. That's what I care about. What people say about me.
And,
you know.
and again, you know, if that's somebody's choice, I'm not here to tell you don't make it.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you what works for me.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what
Yeah.
makes you say. That's what drives you.
Yeah. So from the very beginning, I just, you know, I mean, I'll tell you a funny story, man. When I moved to New York, one of the first classes I had was at HB Studio, and I had a scene partner, this kid named Paul, and you know, we would rehearse in his apartment for these scene studies that these scenes we would perform for the teacher, and they would give us notes. That's scene study, and so we're rehearsing, and he says, hold on, can we just stop for like 5 minutes? I was like, why? He says, because I'm going to be on All My Children. You know, I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm an extra. I'm doing extra work, and they said they pay $75 a day. I said, what?
Back then, I was what?
I can make money doing this.
Yeah. It's like, this is unreal.
I can make money.
That's crazy. That's to let you know, like, you were willing to you were putting in the work, and you weren't even thinking about the money at all.
It was the last thing I thought about was making money as an actor. It was the last thing I was thinking about, and I was like. And sure enough, he turned on the TV, and there he was in the background carrying a tray, walking through the cafeteria.
That's so
And
cool.
I was like, you know what? I'm in.
Yeah.
And $75 a day?
Yeah.
Back then? What?
1976?
Wow. Yeah.
That was like $300, $400, probably more than that back then.
Wow.
Man, 70 something, way more than that.
But I knew, but
inflation.
So for me, it was
Wow.
that's how I became aware of the fact that you can make money.
So, like, at what point was it, like, that you realized, like, okay, I'm not only just doing this, but I'm making a living off this? Like, the way you realize, like, I can support myself off this. Like, this is what I'm doing, like, full time. Like,
I guess the last job I had, straight job, was in 1979. Mm-hmm. I was a waiter at the Stadium Club at Yankee Stadium.
yeah.
Cool.
And I got a job in a theater in Philadelphia, in Washington D.C. And I quit the job and I went down and did this thing for Arena Stage and another theater. And when I got back to New York, there were a couple checks waiting for me for doing a commercial.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if this is what they call making a living.
Right. It didn't even feel right to you.
I was like, you know, maybe I should get that waiter job back. You know? But it was, and I won't lie. I mean, it was the first couple of years. This is the other thing is, you know, hard is as hard does. Mm-hmm. You know.
Ding.
I like that a lot. Yes.
And my first year living in New York, even though it was 1976, 77, I made $7,000 the whole year.
Wow.
So I wasn't going to no Studio 54.
Yeah.
I wasn't going out and buying the brand new Nikes.
Nah.
I wasn't taking cabs everywhere. I was on my bicycle.
You gotta get it how you live.
I was so poor. I remember I went to this one commercial audition and I had some crepe sole shoes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it had rained the day before, and I had put the crepe sole shoes.
My dad told me about those.
I had put the crepe sole shoes under the radiator in my apartment, and they turned up at the ends and they separated.
Oh.
And I had a commercial audition, and you know I'm not a singer or dancer. I've no desire to do that.
Right.
And my agent asked me, and I was desperate for a commercial. They said, "Can you sing?" I was like, "Oh yeah.
We sure gonna try."
They said, "Well, can you dance?" And I was like, and I move well.
Well enough.
They're like, "Okay, come to this audition." Man, I went and showed up at this audition, and there was like room for like 12 guys, and they were auditioning all at the same time. And these cats were in Bubble and Brown Sugar. They were in The Wiz. They had all the flash, and they're stretching their legs, their feet over their legs. You know, they're doing all this shit. And I'm sitting there looking. Well, okay, well, I
guess that's about all I got.
You know? So, you know, and then we got out on the floor, and what they do is they have a choreographer who creates like an 8-count steps for you.
And you are not a dancer. So you are winging it.
So, and I'm all the way up in the corner because I know what's coming. I ain't no fool. I ain't no dreams. So I'm up in the corner, and it was like step, smack with your foot on the floor.
Oh.
Step, smack with your foot on the floor. And every time I hit that smack, my sole on my crepe sole shoe would clap the floor. It would clap. It would go pap. And so everyone's like pap. And people started looking around. What the hell is that?
Your shoe had it on speaking roll.
Somebody bring a drum machine in here. You know? And so, but that was the hardship, and you know, it was embarrassing. You know, it was humiliating, and I could have quit.
Yeah,
of course.
I could have said, you know, I'm not gonna stand for this.
Right.
But no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
that's
gotta
not
change,
gonna,
yeah.
If that's all it takes to knock me out of the box, then I'm
Right.
weak.
Yeah, then
You already
It
had a
ain't
foot out
for
the
me.
door already.
It ain't for me. You know, so $7,000 is what I made the first year I lived in New York.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's basically like $500 a month. That's crazy.
Yeah.
$125 a week.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I mean,
A
so
little less than that. That's crazy.
But me personally, I will say that my belief system was that, you know, I'm going to prevail.
Absolutely.
You gotta have that mindset.
I'm going to prevail.
That mindset to take you. That'll guide you out of any slum. I don't care where you are. If you have that mindset of prevailing and progressing and moving forward, and like you said, you know you're not weak heart. You're not gonna let rock bottom like completely take you over. So because I wasn't even rock bottom for real.
No.
Mentally, like emotionally, I know it felt like rock bottom at that time. It's like, damn, I'm really got the extra clap in my shoe, like my soul slapping on the
Made
ground.
for a good story.
Yeah, but
It was a hell of a story while it was happening, let me tell you. Because these brothers turned around and, you know, they turned around and went,
Man, but see, like,
Oh,
you know
goodness.
what I love about age too? Like I was just saying before we started the podcast, like I look forward to getting older so that I can, like, you know, the amount of knowledge and things I'm gonna know and the memories I'm gonna have. Like you're talking about the 70s, and I just thought about like New York City in the 70s, and then going into the 80s. Like
80s.
not only is that one of the craziest time periods, because unfortunately, of course, drugs were taking over the whole like world,
Right.
but then there was also the rise of like money and it like the crack era hit, and it was like everybody was just hundreds of thousands and millionaires left and right. So like I know you being a young black man in the 70s, you had that choice to like I can go to the streets real quick and make $20,000 a day if I really wanted to. Like I know that had to be there. Being in New York, it's like granted, of course, you were probably avoiding that because you see people dying left and right, people going to jail left and right. But like talk about that. Like what was that scene like when you talking about the late
New York
70s
in the
and early
70s?
80s? Yeah.
New York. The thing about it was that New York at the time. You were measured by your grit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not by you know the kind of slacks you were wearing, or you had to have some grit because the city was coming at you.
Yeah, you had to have some heart.
You know, the city was coming at you.
Unforgiving.
Yeah, and you know, but by the same token, the thing I love about New York is that everybody realizes they're in the same fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody understands the battle.
Yeah.
You know, because the city is, you know, you're battling in that city. That city is battling against you. You know, and at that time with city services getting real weak, Son of Sam was really happening.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know, the blackout happened.
Oh, I heard about the blackout.
You know, there was just, you know, so much shit going on in the city that but as far as choices, I just never saw another valid choice for myself.
It was plan A, and this is what I'm doing. This is it.
But and people were saying, "Don't you have a backup plan?"
I'm like,
I don't got choices like that.
My backup plan is when I fall back. But I ain't falling
like
back.
That's wow, the determination right there, especially telling the story. Making $7,000 your first year, a lot of people are like, "Listen, I can go make." But for you, it wasn't even about the money, which is
no, it wasn't.
amazing.
I was just trying to pay bills. I mean, as a matter of fact, I had a roommate, and we scraped together enough money because Con Ed said, on Tuesday at 5:00,
we are cutting this shit off.
We are cutting your electricity off.
Yeah.
So you want to be at the office by 4:59 and pay your bill.
Yeah, it's gonna be dark out there.
And they had called us.
Right.
So we scraped together the money, and I think it was it was only maybe $85.
Yeah.
But
But back then.
You're making $7,000 a year. $85 is some money.
Exactly.
So I took the money, and my roommate said, "You're gonna go pay it, right?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Oh man.
So sure enough,
man.
I'm walking down the street, and I'm walking past my favorite haberdashery, and there's this beautiful yellow shirt.
Oh man.
And I looked at the shirt, and I looked at the money.
It was that easy to make a bad decision. It didn't take much convincing.
I walked in and I bought that shirt. Don't you know I got home and at 5:01 the lights went.
It's funny because you said you had a roommate. I was like, "What's the rent like in 1980? Like, what was the rent like?"
Well, we actually, in 1976, 77, you could get a railroad flat for $165 a month. My roommate and I had a brand new renovated duplex on 62nd Street and First Avenue for $425. And everybody was telling us, "Y'all are crazy."
That's like Hondo. That's high rise energy right there.
3 years later, they were trying to get us out of that apartment and rent it for $1,500.
Oh,
so
inflation, man.
Yeah.
That's a lesson on inflation alone. That's crazy.
I want to touch base upon, you said you wanted the respect of your peers. So can you name some of your peers that you've worked with in the past that ended up being really cool? A lot of names that
man.
Oh yeah, anybody like you came up with, you might have went on these classes or auditions with, and you were like, that's cool. I see you all the time, and then one day you were just like,
we all know all of the African American actors from my era who were in New York knew each other. Like I know Denzel. Denzel and I used to go out.
Quick flex. You know me and Denny. We used to go to lunch.
We used to go to lunch. Sam Jackson and I did 2 plays together. So I've known Sam forever, and Sam is one of my idols in terms of how he handled that "Are you in the game" business.
Wow.
Yeah, Sam's a he's an OG for real.
Sam is for absolute real, and I think he's the best at having handled it.
Wow.
But let's see. There's a bunch of I know a bunch of people, man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I wanted to ask you, what was like your first big break where you were like, I might go on vacation this year. Like I might have some money.
I'll tell you a couple stories. All My Children was probably like,
All My Children. Yes.
It was probably like one of the breaks. But
what year was that? I'm assuming to keep
84, 85, somewhere in there.
Damn, 84, 85. So you were already in. You
Yeah,
started
almost
acting what?
10
You said like 74?
74.
So you're already 10 years in.
10 years in.
Yeah.
By now you're what, 33, 34?
Yeah, I was on
32?
Broadway 5 years after moving to New York.
Oh, okay.
Because I did a Broadway play with Amanda Plummer in '81. So it took me 5 years to get on Broadway.
Wow. And then shortly after that, you said by 84 you were already doing All My. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just a testimony to how much it's about consistency and putting in the work and understanding that it's not here right now, but I'm working towards something and we're growing. And not giving up, because 10 years, most people are giving up after 3 years if they're not making 100,000, 20,000. They're not rich and famous.
My advice to anybody who wants to take it seriously is to do 5 years and don't make any assessments until after 5 years.
Ding.
At minimum.
Minimum of 5 years. You put in 5 years and then turn around and take a look and see. And if you've made any progress, any movement at all in the direction that you really intended to go, then stick with it. If it's not working for you, then you might want to consider
wow, that's deep.
Or do you have the goods or not?
Yeah,
because some of us just don't have the goods.
Yeah,
No,
of
no,
course.
and you got to be real with yourself. You got to be real with yourself, and it's not even telling yourself you can't, because people will say, "Well, no, nothing's gonna stop me," and that's fine. But like, if it's not moving, you know, you can be wasting time when you could have been great at something else.
But you
know?
guys were asking me about people like I worked with Jack Lemmon and James Garner, Lauren Bacall, Wesley Snipes. I've known forever.
Shout out to Wesley.
You know, Ron Perlman's an old friend.
Ron Perlman, legend.
But the biggest asshole.
We got a name, but we gotta shout him out. So,
the number one on our hit asshole list is Steven Seagal.
I can see that. I can see that.
Wait, Steven
And I'm
Seagal
putting
was
it out there.
all karate moves and
Steven Seagal.
top number one asshole of the year.
Yeah, because
he would.
And I'll tell you a quick story. I did a movie called Marked for Death with him.
Okay.
You know, it was about Jamaican drug gangs, you know. And I was up for the role of this undercover Jamaican cop.
So you had the accent and everything.
And he was kicking all the American actors, black actors, out of their auditions because he said their accents were fake. So I decided to walk in as a Jamaican. So I walked in and I sat down and I said, Steven, you know, I have a really big problem with the way that black American actors portray Jamaican.
Damn! He can turn that shit up like that. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And he said, so what's your problem? I said, Steven, I not lie to you, man. But, you know, in America, black people were given their freedom paternally by the white man. In Jamaica, we take it, man.
Yeah, that's dope. You got that one dead on the money. That's crazy.
So I kept it up. You know, he bought it, and I could see his jaw drop.
Crazy.
I could see he was starting to feed it.
Eat it.
I was like, yeah, hit kid, tap it. He said, so can we shoot in Kingston? I was like, Steven, about a lie, your best movie that one day, man, really bad film, you know. Flick a good man. About a lie, your best movie, you take it down to Kingston, you short your time for free. All them rude boy be on your side, boss.
Yeah, that's
can't if you want for all.
Yeah, you got
know?
this down pat.
So the moment of truth came, and he says, so are you born in Jamaica? And I looked deep in his bloodless eyes. And I said, Steven, a lot of vexation in our family, man. My mom, she married a guy, my granddad, him and I get the hall, you know, though I was a bit of Rudy, him. So, you know, I can't go there. You know, so I was born in Jamaica, but I moved to Brooklyn when I was 4, man. I can speak like Ras Clot American, but not choose it because I identify with my roots, man.
Yo, this is crazy. I'm just watching you work right now. I'm like, amazing. Like, this is what it is to just be an OG. It's like, you can just turn this on. You know what I noticed too? That I feel like you've done so many things, but you can name the exact role you played. You can name the basis of the show. Like I keep hearing you refer to like these titles and these names. You remember all these things.
Well,
so well.
yeah, there was significant moments.
Yeah,
you know. But the thing about the Seagal is, I kept it up for the whole film.
No way. The whole film.
Yeah, and you know, we'd be sitting in the craft service line getting food, and he'd say, "So, brother, when we get to Jamaica, we're gonna go visit your grandfather." And I'm thinking, man, what? My grandfather died in 1977. What the fuck? Oh no, man, no rascality afoot, man. Rascality afoot.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
People gonna really think you're Jamaican.
That's a great story.
And on the last day of shooting, I told him that I was from New Jersey. I dropped all the accent. I said, Steven, I said, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm from Jersey.
Damn, I know his
He
face.
squinted his eyes. He turned on his heels. He walked away, and he never spoke to me again.
Yo, that's.
That's deep,
Wow.
though. That's deep. You got it. You got it. That's called great acting.
Yo,
if I can have you
that's-
completely fooled.
While offside.
That is crazy. That's
Wow,
dope that
that's-
you were 10 steps ahead to even like you already knew he wasn't feeling the American actor, so you were like, I'm gonna go 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And you played it along for however long it took.
However
to
long
shoot
it
that
took,
film.
man.
That's dope.
Wow.
Man. It's like your own little social experiment.
that's a
almost,
great-
too.
that-
'Cause
wow,
I know
that's a
deep
great
down you had to
story.
be laughing like this is some
Yeah, like-
nonsense.
I was
At some
messing with
moments you
him.
forgot, you know.
I bought a little book of Jamaican proverbs.
You weren't playing.
That I could throw at him, like because he was always going off script and improv and he was trying to mess with you.
Yeah.
know, a lot of times. So I'd be like, okay, I got some game for you. So one time I told him as the Jamaican character, I said, you know, man, but let me stop you right here. It's best to keep a little canoe near the shore.
Straight out the book. Nah, man, that's insane. So after All My Children, so that's a soap opera, so that's a show. So
Yeah.
How long does something like that, like a season of that, take to shoot?
Well, it's back in the day. You shot it all year long.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And sometimes you'd have to learn 20 pages a day.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've always had a grip on everything real tightly, and I've always understood and all that stuff, because All My Children afforded me the first time. It was the first time I brushed with celebrity. I mean, I was in a club, the Tunnel, I think it was, and I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's Michael Cooper and Irvin Johnson and
Wow.
Magic Johnson, for
Word.
people who don't know.
yeah, and Norm Nixon and all those guys, and they were like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And I got to know Isaiah Thomas. I mean,
Wow.
crazy.
That's crazy.
So I was kind of like entering.
And
that,
these people were superheroes at the
Yeah.
time.
yeah, like Chuck D.
Wow.
Chuck D was
Public Enemy?
Chuck D
Yeah.
and I we would talk and chat it up.
That's
so
crazy.
I got to know a lot of these people, and it started to get away from me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't mind sharing this, because I think these are tales of caution and tales that need to be shared, because there are potholes along the way.
Yeah.
You are going to drive through some potholes. You just hope you don't drive in one so deep that you jack up your rims.
That's deep. Ding.
Definitely a joke.
So I mean, and for me, I started partying and.
Start partying. It's
In
the
the
80s.
80s.
It's the 80s.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
We can leave it at that.
And one night I was in the China Club. The China Club was my spot, and I knew everybody at the China Club. I mean, I was hanging out with Eddie Kendricks and David Ruffin. And,
Oh wow.
Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son. So,
Right.
so I'm standing in the China Club. It's 5:30 in the morning, and we're all awake.
In the 80s.
And we're awake quite nicely.
Right. 5:30 in the morning. It's early right now.
But the music was thumping, and I was standing on a little rise on a step, and I was overlooking the whole crowd. And everyone's bopping and dancing, and everything's feeling really cool. And I started to self-assess.
Yeah.
I started to have that inner conversation, where the dude sitting on the left shoulder saying, "Look at you, man, you're doing it. You are in, you're at the top shelf here in New York City. You're killing it, man. Everything's really cool. What an artist you are, and." Right behind that was the cat on the right shoulder who said, "Yeah, but are there any artists in here anywhere?"
Wow.
And I looked around. He says, "No, they're parasites.
Wow.
These people are just, who are they? What are they creating? What are
Wow.
they doing with their lives? They're just awake."
They're just standing still.
Yes.
You're trying to move, and they're just standing still.
And I was like, it was an
Wow.
epiphany that said, you are one of them more than you are this guy you think you are.
Wow.
I stopped. I got my coat, left the club. I walked across Central Park back to my apartment, and I thought about what you're going to do with that information.
Wow.
You know, and I never had to go down that road again.
Wow.
You know,
That's deep.
That's
deep.
Is that around the time you decided to make the jump to move to LA?
No, LA kind of came slowly. That sort of dawned. I wasn't really. I was one of the last of my tribe to move to LA because I just never liked LA.
Yeah, and if you didn't catch on to that, he just said he walked across Central Park to his apartment. That's Central Park apartment. That's a very nice apartment. He ain't had no reason to leave. That's crazy.
But I just like to have to let people know that it's not all gravy.
No,
you know
yeah.
that there's some trials, and you will be tried.
Yeah.
There are things that you're going to come up that you don't expect to come up, that are born out of your own personality. It's not even anything anyone else is doing.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to call it a weakness or a fault, but maybe it's a shortgoming that you have.
No, for sure.
That gets exposed. So if it gets exposed, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to cover it up, or you're going to really expose it and eradicate it.
Yeah. That's another gem.
That makeup will wash off. You can't just cover it up.
Wow.
You're still who you are under there.
Yeah.
So you gotta really fix whatever it is that's truly wrong with you and self-assess.
And it's coming from you.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
I mean, it's, you know, all those people in the China Club, they were all fine. They were all cool.
Right.
They were all
Yeah.
just hanging out.
Right.
But was I one of them, or what happened to me?
You're truly you're your own worst enemy. You're the only one in your own way, for real.
You know, sometimes, you know, those lessons are painful, and you have to address them. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm really I've been very lucky, but I've also paid attention.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things you can do for yourself is pay attention.
Wow, that's
We need to drop a bomb on
that's
Make sure you're paying attention.
What are some of the favorite roles or favorite movies or shows that you've been in? Would you say some of your favorite, like, oh, I love shooting that, or oh, this was a good, you know?
And do you have a certain genre too that you like more than others?
Not necessarily, because I come from that background of 15 different plays in 2 years.
Okay,
if it's comedy, like Weekend at Bernie's 2, we'll do that.
Weekend at
you know, or Seinfeld.
Real
you know,
quick. Just dropping that home. It's just quick flexes, you know. It's one of the longest running shows of all time, one of the biggest shows of all time.
But some of the roles that I'm most proud of, probably very few people have seen. Like there's a film called Key Man, in which I play a homeless guy.
Wow.
It's a homeless schizophrenic guy, and it was a really, really great part.
Wow.
You know, I feel like, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like you learn so much in trying to be these roles, because we might think, oh, from a person's perspective, but you literally have to transform into that perspective.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself feel home. You have to really embody that and what it is. So I feel like you get a different perspective than the average person who can just think from somebody, can think that they're imagining somebody's perspective. You have to really try to be that.
Well, the closer you can. I mean, you know, there does come a psychological stop sign.
Yeah.
This is
A psychiatric stop sign that says, "Oh man, you go. Where you going? No, you can't go no farther. Because if you go, if you cross this intersection, there ain't no getting back.
They don't come back.
I can imagine.
But what I did for that particular role was, I took like 2 days, and I went down to Ocean Park in Santa Monica, where there were a bunch of homeless people.
Yeah.
And I hung out with them.
Wow.
I just watched.
Wow.
And one of the things I observed, which if I hadn't done that research, I wouldn't be able to do, is that if you really, unless there is a paranoid schizophrenic, homeless people move at a much slower pace than the rest of us. They move slow. Everything they do is just a little bit slower. It's almost like they're having to conserve their body, their energy,
conserving energy
because of food and not being able to eat. So I peeped that, And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna put that in the mix.
Wow.
That's
wow.
But that's just. There have been some other roles. This thing that I just finished for Amazon, it's called Daisy Jones and the Six. It's about rock and roll music in the 70s in L.A. And I play a Quincy Jones type guy.
Cool.
That's fire.
I mean, the audience, they won't be able to see this. I have to boot up my phone. I'll show you. I'll show you the picture.
We'll make sure we'll add it.
That's
we'll put it up.
crazy.
What's that?
We'll put it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, actually, you can. Because it's an NDA thing.
Okay. When is it premiere?
March
on Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Damn, that's
Cool.
dope. See, the thing is, you're still working. It's not like it's all like you're still going crazy. You're
Got
working
to.
at Amazon, and now all these streaming services. I feel like they changed the movie game and the way we process our shows and we digest like all this media and film. It's like it's so overwhelming. There's so much of it. And there's so much. I feel like there's a lot more work that would be available now because there's so many different
there is more work.
Shows.
There is more work, but there's always a Circle A, Circle B, and Circle C.
Yeah.
And in Circle A, those are the people they all want. For every show.
For everything, yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
And then, so that, and they enlarge that circle a little bit.
Yeah, little by little.
Circle B is where you got to earn it. And Circle C is where you're hopeful and you ain't getting there.
That's messed up, but it's the reality of it. That's crazy. I can imagine. I see all these streaming services. I feel like it's an arms race right now. I feel like all of them, Paramount Plus, Netflix, Hulu, they're all competing to see who's gonna make the next biggest documentary. They're just remaking. They're remaking shows that just dropped. Like they're remaking movies. Like the White Boy Rick movie came out in like 2018, 2019. Right. They're already making a whole series of it. I'm like, it's been like 2 years, and they're all from different companies. Like they did the I forgot what it was. It was like the Nicky Barnes story, the Godfather of Harlem.
Oh, Nicky, I know what that is.
I forgot. They just made like two of those shows damn near at the same time, simultaneously. Like
no, it has opened up, and it's opened up ethnically, like amazingly. I mean, the difference between how much work there is now and how much work. When I used to audition back in the 70s, I'd walk in to the green room, which is where all the holding area is before you actually walk into the audition room. And there would be Sam Jackson and Frankie Faison and Denzel and Morgan and Bobby Christian and all these unbelievably talented actors were all up for one role.
Right.
And that's where you sort of learn that it's best to be a gracious human being rather. I mean, because some like a lot of young cats think that it's all a competition. They come in the room and oh man, I can't look at that man. I ain't gonna look at him, man. Because he gonna get in my head. So I'm gonna have to stay studied. I'm gonna have to, so man, he ain't no damn good anyway.
You're too good at this. I feel like I'm on the show. Yeah, that's crazy.
But in New York in the 70s, we all realized that hey, it's one job. Somebody please go in and get that job.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Blow that role up so that they'll be hiring more of us the next time.
That's
and you got people like Tyler Perry who like he's an icon in the way that he took his success and then went the independent route and created his own like studio and became a billionaire off of films. Like that's
And that's the thing that you can do now that you couldn't do back in the day. You can now create your own content.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
with this right here, if I want to.
Yeah. So kids have if your game is strong enough, and if you have a strong enough point of view, and in my opinion, most importantly, if you have something to say, if you have something to say with your work, then you can go out and get it made, and people will see it. You can find a medium that will show it, air
100%.
it. But back in the day, no, it was like we were all puppets dangling by the string.
Damn. That's deep.
Oh, that's-
It's such a change. Yeah, I know you seen the growth of social. You saw social media. So before the internet was really ever a thing, and then you saw cell phones go from in a briefcase to it became a computer in your hand. Now you didn't see the growth and the evolution of time. So
we got one last question for you.
I just realized we actually went a little over time. Shout out to Marvin in the background, Brady Studio,
shout out to
allowing us to get some extra time. And this is a good conversation. We just can't walk away.
One last question. Do you have anything else coming out soon that you want to promote or say anything or
anything
not,
besides the Amazon
not
project?
really. Just Daisy Jones and the Six, and there's a play I'm trying to direct that might hit New York next year as well. But no, not really. You know, what you got something I could do?
We'll talk. We can talk.
hey, bro, I'm in the game.
Man, listen, this has been episode 17 of the Free James Podcast. We want to send a special thank you again.
Thank you so much
Tommy
for coming
Wright,
out.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the game that you drop. You drop so much knowledge, man.
So much knowledge, so much
many
content.
Beautiful stories, man. We just want to say thank you again.
You got it. No problem.
Greatly appreciate you.
I'm glad. Omaha.
Hike, listen, man. Free James Podcast. Y'all have a blessed day, man. Thank y'all so much.
We are out of here.
Gone.
Episode 17.
Man, thank you so much.